In the heart of Lisbon, we took an award-winning photo where you can feel the motion, and it's one of my all-time favorites. So here's how we did it. So this really is one of my favorite photos that I've ever taken. It was in Lisbon near the Science Museum, which is called Pavilhão do Conhecimento Ciência Viva at the Jardins da Água. But my Portuguese is not very good, so they would probably say it differently. Anyway, we were there last April, and there were so many really incredible photographic opportunities around this area. And I knew a little bit in advance because I scouted it out online ahead of time. Out of all the things that I've learned so far in photography, this is probably the most underrated one. I did this on a trip to Budapest, and I looked basically ahead of time online, and I found some really cool ideas for inspiration. And I was just looking for all the best photos in Lisbon, and I found that this area had pretty much everything that I could ever want. So they had these incredible water gardens. It was right near the Science Museum and the aquarium. And when we got there, I noticed that the kids wanted to run these like big loops around this overhead waterfall. So what I thought I would do is I would frame one of the kids in one of the corners, and the waterfall lines would kind of, lead you to them. So I also wanted a bit of a sense of motion, and therefore I needed a longer shutter speed. The problem was that I needed to get Wyatt sharp in the picture while also getting some movement in the water. So I had to compromise a little bit. Normally I would do like 2 or 3 seconds as a shutter speed. But if that was the case, then I wouldn't be able to get him sharp either. So this is something where I kind of used a little bit of panning. I used about a 60th of a second, and then I used an aperture of f/22. And part of that was to bring down the ambient light as much as possible. But the other part was really just so that I could make sure that I got everything in focus. Ideally, normally I would actually probably use a few seconds to get a long exposure. And if I was really trying to do this right, I probably would have used a flash to then freeze, him as he was running through, but that just wasn't really possible or practical. So I tried to frame him in the corner so that all the lines would kind of lead you right to him, and you could kind of see that sense of playfulness and emotion as he was running through the scene. But overall, this was an incredible place to photograph. I took some of my favorite photos of the entire trip, maybe of any trip in this general area. It's definitely worth checking out if you're in Lisbon. We got some incredible moments right there. To see more videos in this series, definitely like the video. If you have any really incredible photographic spots in Lisbon, I would love to hear from you, and make sure to subscribe.